Sports clubs are going to have to find new benefactors.
Australian resources sector has been accused of sports washing. Started with Gina Reinhart. Some people think she shouldn't sponsor the netball because she's sceptical about the causes of climate change. Sports washing was pioneered by the Arab states, most notably the Saudis. The idea is you flick Greg Norman a few $100 million to be part of a golf tournament in the hope it distracts people from morally questionable social policies, like mass executions. Or worse, selling oil so that people can drive to work and not freeze to death in winter.
Very good.
The issue hasn't been much of an issue in Australia because our sporting codes haven't had to rely too much on the largesse of mining and oil and gas companies. They've traditionally been sponsored by morally upstanding firms in the tobacco, fast food, alcohol and gambling industries. We're comfortable with the sport accepting money from Colonel Sanders because it's not like anyone found heart disease in the bottom of a KFC bucket.
I don't care.
And we're okay with taking cash from online betting agencies.
We know everything from racehorse to horse race.
Because gambling addiction is certainly not a social problem. And it's fine to plunder the ever-deep pockets of the booze industry.
A hard-earned thirst needs a big cold beer.
Because as we all know, alcohol has never contributed to any social ills. The gin craze was in fact a complete myth. Sly grogging by the mafia never happened during Prohibition.
And I'm a grown man and this place is getting to me.
And when we drink, our rapier wits just get more hilarious.
Good Lord, there's a fly in my drink.
I put it there.
You did?
I slipped it into your glass as a gag.
Pure hilarity.
Netball Australia has stared down a revolt by some Diamonds players and is going to take Gina's money. But the issue is far from over. Pat Cummins is refusing to appear in any promotional material for cricket sponsor Alinta Energy. And now former WA Premier Carmen Lawrence wants the Fremantle Dockers to tear up its long-running sponsorship agreement with Woodside. She says, "We don't think it is fair for these young men and women to run out with a fossil fuel company's logo plastered on their jumpers any longer." This is the same Carmen Lawrence who was a member of the state Labor government that made Woodside rich in the 80s by effectively underwriting the North West Shelf gas project.
How would Freo fill the hole if Woodside walked?
Well, they'll probably lean on their other more morally superior sponsors like Crown, Tab Touch, Pirate Life and McDonald's.
Reckon the Eagles might be nervous?
Where do they train? Mineral Resources Park. You just know that the Chardonnay swillers of the western suburbs are going to start getting uncomfortable with that.
So when you're entertained, you tend towards the formal, fish forks, sad plates, fan board, china.
They'll see no hypocrisy in the fact their self-managed super funds are loaded with mining and energy stocks. No hypocrisy in the fact the TLMP they elected enjoys astonishing family wealth courtesy of her father's chairmanship of Woodside, and no hypocrisy in the fact Kate Cheney's campaign was bankrolled by Simon Holmescourt, who enjoys astonishing family wealth courtesy of one of Australia's biggest cattle herds. Bit of methane coming out of there, mate.
Yep, so if the resource companies don't sponsor, who does?
Let's have a look at the list of the biggest publicly listed companies that are headquartered in WA. You have to get to number 13 before you find a company that's not an operational player in the mining or oil and gas industries. In fact, there are only 4 in the top 50. APM is an employment services company, but makes a shitload serving up staff to the big miners, so they're out. BWP Trust is a property company that owns the land that Bunnings stores are on. But Bunnings is owned by Wesfarmers, which owns Clean Heat Gas and also an LNG company, so that's questionable. 7 West Media, that's us. We've just paid $1 gazillion for the broadcast rights for the AFL, so we've done it us, thank you very much. And Monadelphous, an engineering firm that makes pretty much all its money from the oil and gas sector, so that's a hard no there. If you want to protest against resources companies greenwashing and sports washing their way to social respectability, that's fine. But don't think there's a pot of gold out there that'll fill the vacuum, and don't complain when you see your kid kicking a rock because nobody can afford to buy them a Sherrin.
Not just big sport either.
Woodside Nippers, that's gone. Not like Aussie kids need to learn how to swim or anything. And it's not just sport. Woodside and Roy Hill sponsor the WA Ballet. Woodside also sponsors the WA Symphony Orchestra.
It's the culture, Daryl. The place is full of culture.
Chockers.
Yeah, I think everyone on the bandwagon needs to think about collateral damage.
What does Carmen Lawrence think will happen if Woodside stops sponsoring the Dockers? You think Woodside's going to suddenly stop exporting LNG? All it means is the money Woodside would have given the Dockers goes back into profit, so Meg O'Neill gets a bigger bonus. The bit that's morally repugnant in this isn't that we accept too much money from resources companies, it's that we don't get enough. They're making more money than God digging up the minerals and sucking up the hydrocarbons that we own.
I always wanted to be rich.
So you reckon rinse them harder?
Yes, they can afford it. I know a lot of people don't like the resources industry, but without it, none of us could afford to go and watch the footy, netball or cricket in the first place.
That's a disappointing finish.
I'm Ben Harvey. For more Up Late, click the subscribe button below.